In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. My name is Nestor Licanto, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about how some companies are transitioning from brick and mortar to more online services. And I'm pleased to welcome as our guest this week is Maria Leon Guerrero, the Chief Operating Officer of the Bank of Guam, and Brent Butler, who is the General Manager of Nanbo Insurance. Welcome to the show, folks.
Half a day.
All right, so Maria, let me start with you.
Thank you,
You're more than welcome. Thanks for being with us. Maria, let me start with you. And why has the Bank of Guam shut down a couple of your more prominent branches, I would say, Dededo and Harmon, which are located where most of our population is? Explain the reason for that move.
Yeah. So actually last Friday was the official closure date for our Harmon and Dededo branches. And actually, well before the pandemic, actually for the last several years, the bank has been increasing our investment in our digital products and services, and really with just the ultimate goal of delivering the types of solutions and experiences that our customers are looking for. And the pandemic hasn't necessarily altered that basic strategic direction, but it definitely has accelerated the pace of adoption of digital products and services, the pace of supporting a distributed workforce and digitizing and automating backroom functions. And so it's just really everything at a faster clip. And we've been thrilled to see that customers are actually embracing digital transactions and new ways of banking. And so that just gives us reassurance that, we're on the right track and to push forward with the plans. And so, with the closure of Harmon and Dededo, of course, that's a really outward facing sign of it, but it's really part of a bigger story that we've been pursuing for a long time.
All right. Brent, likewise, the Nanbo announced that after 40 some years, you're closing down your ITC branch in Tamuni for similar reasons. Can you explain this touchless strategy that you're adopting now?
Yes. So last year during the lockdown, things started to force us to really be more efficient and touchless in how we deal with our customers and the transactions. And so we really ramped up our online capabilities, receiving payments online, receiving inquiries online, and being able to correspond directly with our customers. And then also, receiving inquiries on the phone. And so this, we were able to get our online payment site up recently. And so the push has been to go more online because it's touchless and it's more convenient for our customers because basically they can execute their transaction anytime, 24 hours a day. So, this allows us to just be more efficient in our operations. We have 3 employees at our ITC branch. So all 3 employees are going to be coming over to the main branch in Hagåtña, and just allows us to centralize our operations and still allow our service to continue.
All right. And Maria, obviously a lot of thought went into this new strategy that you guys are rolling out. What are some of the highlights? Could you walk us through some of the things that were vetted when you guys first began looking in this direction?
Yeah. So I guess I'll just start off to say that the goal of our overall strategy is not to remove the humanity out of everything, right? It's to provide a smooth customer experience regardless of whatever channel the customer chooses to go through, whether that's in our branch, online, mobile, or ATM. So the things that we looked at were, as far as overhauling the branch experience, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? It's not just the brick and mortar location, but it's the staff, right? The training of the staff, their knowledge of digital products and services, the technology that they have that's supporting them to, support the customer. So we looked at human resources, at technology, at branch design, and again, all the different channels. ATM, online, mobile. And so we're putting a lot of thought into overhauling all of those so that it's a more integrated and pleasant experience regardless of the channel.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah, and Brent, I know in the insurance business, it's not quite as not quite as much daily interaction with customers as, say, Maria's business, the bank. But what can you give us a more deeper insight into how your customers are approaching this, and also from a sales perspective, how are your insurance agents being able to get together with their potential clients?
Okay, yeah. So the first part of this touchless transaction is, and the bulk of it, a lot of it is payments received online. That was one of the big requests or inquiries last year. Can I make a payment online? Do you have an online payment option? So that was one thing we focused on late last year, is really getting our online payment capability. And then, we've always had a website and a inquiry page where customers and potential prospects can reach out to us, can ask questions. A lot of the questions last year during the pandemic was, are you open? When are you opening? So we've been just expanding on that, and it allows us to try to get back to our customers at their convenience. I'm trying to get back to them within 10 minutes of their inquiry. Granted, if it's during business hours, if it's a weekend, got to give me a little bit more time, or the staff a little bit more time. But we're really trying to make it easier for our customers to reach out to us and for us to get back to them.
Yeah. And I know one of the most important services that both banks and insurance companies provide is that Q&A, because there's bound to be a lot of questions that customers have. Are you going to, Maria, you mentioned you're not trying to remove the humanity from it, but is a lot of what your functions are going to be are like bot chats and that sort of thing? Or are you going to have a real live human person answering phone calls or responding to emails or internet chats?
Yeah. So we do have chat on our website. It's not a chat bot though. It's an actual person back there that is fielding it. And currently that's how it is today, whether you call over the phone or even email, it's our people really responding to all of those. But we are looking into some of those new technologies like artificial intelligence and chatbots and so forth that can help us just with the very common questions. And the way that those technologies operate today, it's like you wouldn't even know that it's a bot in the background that's assisting you. But there's a lot of opportunity to just handle those really common questions automatically, so that people are not waiting, right, for a live agent on the phone, for example. So that is something that we are looking at.
Yeah. And Brett, do you envision that more and more this is going to be the norm? I mean, for folks of my generation, it probably not so much, but the preceding generations, more and more, that's what they grew up with. I imagine that's probably the future now. Yeah.
Yes, I think going forward, we're going to see more online transactions, inquiries, payments, online quote requests. It's just, something that the future holds.
Yeah. Even do you think as sales and marketing, pitches by your agents, will that pretty much move online, or does it still, you think, require that personal touch? That handshake, that smile.
Yes, I think the personal touch, it'd be very hard to take that out of the transaction, and especially if it's an introduction. I think people like to meet, and we're social beings by nature. So, but yeah, we've had last year, several Zoom meetings just where us for the first time kind of pitching our service and our company to a prospect. But I don't think that's, that was just because we were in the lockdown, and because of the timing of the insurance policy, that needed to happen. Our meeting needed to happen at a certain time. So we conducted it through an online meeting. But ideally, we'd like to be able to meet face to face, allows the customer to also get to know us and see who they're dealing with whenever there's an issue with our service.
How about with the banks, Maria? Are we going to see fewer and fewer branches, you think?
We're getting close on Guam to where we want to be as far as our branch network. You might see a few more down the road, but I agree with Brent in that there's certain transactions that lend themselves to being digitized and automated, and there's other interactions that just require, you're never going to get rid of that face-to-face, right? So with us, I mean, if there's a complex customer service issue, or somebody wants to talk about a mortgage, or financing a business, obviously that's not something that we want to automate, right? We want to talk to them and understand their needs. So I think it's just more about using technology, leveraging it where it's appropriate, and also to help support that human interaction, which is never going to go away.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah. What has been, Maria, the industry trends when you look at your colleagues in the mainland, for example, or you go to a convention? What's the buzz about going forward for banks in this particular lane here?
Well, I think it's pretty much what's happening here. There have been many consolidations and branch closures that have occurred in the banking industry, just in lockstep with the pandemic. But that's always been the case. I would say over the last 10 years, that's been the trend of banks kind of downsizing. There are some banks that have actually opened branches, but I think overall the trend is pretty consistent, is that branch network is still there. Branches are still an important channel for customers, but just not as many are needed, and more of an emphasis on digital channels for sure.
How about you, Brent? When you look at your colleagues in the industry, or talk to other insurance executives, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I think with the online technology available these days, opening another branch, for example, in another location, might really just be a convenience aspect. I think it just, a lot of the services can be conducted online. And just for those few that really just want to talk to someone face to face, I think that's kind of the main benefit. So I wouldn't necessarily foresee too many new branches being opened up in the insurance agency industry.
Yeah. Maria, I wanted to find out if there was a impact on costs, a reduction in costs, and how about a reduction in employees as well? Because the Bank of Guam does employ hundreds, I think, if not thousands, of employees on Guam.
Yeah, so we have about 600 employees in total, and And just to nip that question right in the bud, no, we have not let anybody go. So all of our employees that were in Harmon and Dededo most of them have gone to support other branches. Some of them have shifted to other areas of the bank, but yeah, we have not decreased our headcount because of this. There has been, maybe some minor savings in occupancy costs, and hopefully as we move forward, that will grow. So that's definitely a benefit, but it wasn't really the motivating factor for us to make this move.
Yeah, and Brent, you said you absorbed the three that you had at the ITC building. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, we still have some time here, so maybe we can talk a little bit about some industry trends. Let me start with you, Brent. Has the pandemic changed anything with respect to your industry?
Yes, quite a bit. Nanbo does insure several industries or several businesses in the hospitality industry, and if I can be very specific, tour bus companies. There's no tourists coming to Guam, and so many tour bus companies they've taken their fleet of vehicles out of service, right? And when they do that, they discontinue coverage, and the premium is based on those vehicles being in service. And so when they take them out of service, their premiums basically they're discontinued. Same with the rent-a-car companies. There were a lot of rent-a-car companies. For those rent-a-car companies that did not have a mortgage or a loan on their vehicles, they basically just decided to self-insure those vehicles. And for the vehicles that did have a loan attached to it, they really just tried to get by with the bare minimum coverage that the banks would allow. And so we were really just trying to work with them because everybody's just trying to cut costs where they can and get by and survive. That's kind of affected our premiums last year, but we're hoping that as the vaccine gets rolled out, tourism picks up, and then those rent-a-car companies and the tour bus companies put their vehicles back in service, and then our business would also pick up.
Yeah, speaking of survival, and no need to mention any names here, but were you getting claims for like business interruption insurance and that sort of thing?
Not necessarily. We got some inquiries about that and how the pandemic, is that a covered loss? And I think that's going to be a big issue still in the insurance industry. I think right now, the answer is no. There's some wording in the exclusions that that exclude communicable diseases, I think, if that's the right term. And so, who knows? I think that could be a hot point or hot topic going forward as the insurance industry works to address this current pandemic and possibly future pandemics.
Yeah, you use those fancy Latin words, force majeure and stuff like that, right? Maria, what would you say are the biggest impacts of the pandemic on the banking industry?
Okay, if you hear a baby in the background, I'm sorry. My coworkers are hard at work. But for us, I would say looking at the loan and then the deposit side. So with loans, PPPs have taken us by storm here on island. I think the pandemic has shown us just how fragile our economy is and how dependent we are on tourism and military activity. But we have done our best, as have a lot of other local financial institutions, to ramp up and get these PPP loans out to the community. So that's been a huge effort on our part, as well as the other local financial institutions. I think on the operations side of the house, of course, it's just been massive in terms of all of the government, subsidies that have gone to help the public and businesses and so forth. And that volume has obviously impacted greatly on the bank. Everyone's, seen those long lines from people cashing their checks, and, we're dealing with it as best we can. But I'll say that, even the government is pushing on shifting to digital. And we've seen that with those PUA payments, right? A substantial portion of those went out via direct deposit. And I know that's the direction that they want to go. So of course, we are very supportive of that. And it's all kind of temporary pain, right? That we're experiencing operationally, but we'll get through it together.
Yeah.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah, perfect segue, because I typically ask guests, particularly in light of the pandemic, what their crystal ball is in terms of how their particular industry is going to fare. Now that we've got 1 month under our belt in this new 2021, Brent, what do you see for the insurance industry going forward in the next year?
Okay, yeah, I think if we can open up the hospitality industry on Guam, for example, that will put the business's assets back into operation, and that would lead to premiums to insure those assets. Same with for example, when the employees go back to work, our workers' compensation premiums are based on wages, and so the more people that go back to work, return to work, will impact the insurance industry favorably.
Yeah. And Maria, banks, of course, never closed throughout the pandemic as critical institutions. But do you see any changes in the forthcoming year for any shifts, any pivots for the banks?
From here on out, I don't see any, well, God willing, right? We're on the right path with as far as the vaccine and the pandemic going in this positive direction. I don't see any, pivots in how we're going to be serving our customers operationally, just continued investment into, digital products and service delivery, like I've been saying. But I agree with Brent on the economy, and really just kind of hoping for a speedy return to healthy numbers in our tourism industry for our borrowers and our community overall. So that's kind of the agenda for this year.
All right, so let me just wrap this up, and you guys can wrap up, or recap rather, what you've accomplished by closing down your specific brick and mortar offices. Brent, let me start with you.
Okay, yeah, so Nanbo rolled out its online payment platform in December, and we've continued to expand on these online platforms to provide touchless services. So we can now provide a quote online. Basically, customers or prospects can just give us their information on their vehicle, and we'll try to get back to them within 10 minutes or so, or within the hour. And they can still contact us over the phone, and if they have any questions, they can also send us an inquiry through their website, and we'll get back to them as quick as we can.
Okay, and Maria, give us your best pitch for this continued move toward more digital services.
So, while it was definitely bittersweet to close both Harmon and Dededo, which have been open for decades, we are confident that it's the right move in order for us to focus on strengthening our products and services in branches, and also mobile, digital, ATM, the whole gamut. And so, yes, the start of something new.
All right. Maria Leon Guerrero is the Chief Operating Officer of the Bank of Guam, and Brent Butler is the General Manager of Nanbo Insurance. And we've been talking about the continued shift toward more online services for institutions like banks and insurance companies. I'm Nestor Licanto. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you again next week on In Full Zoom.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.